Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk to you about who you are and your light. So let's jump in. A lot of times you probably would, once you woke up to narcissism, you would sit back and ask yourself, why me? Why did this happen to me? Why did it take so long for me to wake up? And why was I going through all this folly and destruction in my life? Why so long? Why such a secret? And why do they keep coming to me? They keep coming to you because you don't know who you are. They wouldn't come to you if you didn't have something. And a lot of us would say it was because I should have knew better. And I don't think that's the case necessarily. To some degree, there's a perfect time for things to occur. You have to get to a level to where you're ready to understand things. You're ready to give in. We all have pride to deal with, so sometimes you got to get to that level of a certain level of humility sometimes for you to receive something the way that it needs to be received. And that's because we can be stiff-necked and hard-headed. Not like the narcissist, but we all just living in our bodily flesh. What we see more than what we can see in faith sometimes. But you have something special, because the enemy wouldn't constantly, time after time after time, try to keep this quiet from waking in you so he could continue to camouflage himself and be a part of your life so he could create folly in it. That doesn't just happen to everybody. It happens to just certain people. There's a lot of those people that just don't even wake up to what they're dealing with. But for you to be on this channel, you have woke up. So not only were you dealing with this for a long, long time, but you got to a place to where you could receive the answer to what has been going on. But now what you need to understand, I want to get you to understand, is that you are special. And you really don't see yourself for what others see you. Because a lot of times, somebody with talent, they don't always know they have it, but the people around them know. They know before the individual does. And that's what's been going on in your life, really. I mean, your whole life, it's people sizing you up and you're in the dark. You're unaware of all of this, but still you managed to stay afloat. Still you managed to succeed. Still you didn't give up your soul. Still you didn't let it drive you into the ground. You didn't let yourself submit to all of these individuals. You didn't bow down. You kept getting back up, y'all. You kept getting back up and fighting, trying to help still, trying to get others to understand the goodness that God has for them when they had already denied him and was trying to take you out. You were trying to help the enemy. And that does say something good about how your heart was built and cultivated, because it could have went the other way. You surely were tested, because the narcissist didn't last long at all. They bowed down and gave up everything before the age of 20. And here you are, you've been fighting against this for 40 years, 50 years before you woke up. So, what does it say in the Bible? It says a righteous man will fall 7 times and get back up. As much as you think that the narcissist might be winning, they lost a long time ago. They did. They lost a long time ago, y'all. What would it be to gain the whole world and lose your own soul, y'all? Really. Your soul and your spirit, man, is important to you and your relationship with God, to where you knew that if nothing else was to stay intact, that you weren't going to give up on love and joy, your innateness and who you are. I used to always say that. They will never take my joy. They will never take my joy. I used to say that when I was unawoke. You will never break me. And you have an opportunity to walk in this. You have favor. You have favor. And that's why people hate you. That's why people hate you. That's why people come at you, and that's why they've been trying to destroy you. Been trying to knock your knees out every day. And you're trying to help them find their way all along. You're special. And you need to understand that. You have favor. That's why you fell, but you didn't fail. You might have missed the mark a little, but you didn't fail. To fail is to give up on your innate spirit man, to give up on and attack and sacrifice your spirit man, to give up, to give in, to give up on your innate true self, your inherent self. That's to fail. No, you fell, but you didn't fail. You got hurt, but you didn't get destroyed. You're still standing, and you feel destroyed now because now you know what's going on. And that is a big pill to swallow, because now you know what you're dealing with, and it's deeper than you thought. But you are special, and you have favor. God's favor to be blessed and to be a blessing. And in a lot of ways, you have learned to naturally walk in a lot of the fruits of the Spirit in such a great way. And you just weren't aware of the evils that were around you. And that's okay, because you know now. And when you wake up to this, it's usually a true storm you're going through, because you're waking up and you had things click and something sparked. And you may have gotten to a point that I did where you started seeing spiritual things in the physical realm on these individuals. You started to see what they were actually carrying. Demonic faces and black eyes and duper smirks and time standing still and arguments that were not in a physicality or a psychological place anymore, but they were spiritual. There's a certain point to where humanity cannot fight like some of these individuals will argue. At some point, you're touching on the spiritual, and it's a bad thing to go through, but it'll wake you up. And because God's not a respecter of persons, and that's why sometimes you have to go through hardships until you get hit in the head with this stuff long enough to where you start to shift your angle and look at this stuff in a different light, in a different fashion, in a different way, from a different perspective. Through the trauma, get you to search things out from the emptiness and hardships, all the turmoil that you get tired of. And you want answers. Enough to go searching. Because you have God's favor, people have been attacking you since birth. You've been loving them even though, and not giving up on the beautiful self that God has given you. Your innate spirit is who you are. Is who you are. Who you are. In the utmost authenticity. Your spirit man does not waver. It's your flesh, your mind, will, emotions, your flesh. They will all get together and come against that spirit man and try to get you to do things that are not good for you. The weaknesses of this world, the fleshly desires and the pleasures, when you know it's not a good idea. It comes from who you are. That still small voice. The one that if you feed it enough, it will bring all of this into order. You can't give up on that. And you didn't. And you won't. Because if you were, you would have done it by now. But now you have the ability. You have the ability to go down the street and meet with the blacksmith. When you awaken, truly awaken, you go through a time of healing and a time of shaking the dust off. It takes a while. What did it say in the word to the apostles? He said, when you go out to preach the word, for those that do not accept you, you take off your sandals and you clap the dust out of them, and it'll be worse for them. than it would ever be for you. They will wish they never denied you, really, because you were there to help. And this could be family. This could be sons and daughters. This could be mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers, and you have to let that go. People choose what they want to be, who they want to be, and who they want to align themselves with. And it's not your fault. And in that healing process, you got to get a lot of rest, and you got to shake off the dust from all of the individuals in your life that have been sucking off you, and they are not good for you. They're all bad advisors, manipulative, envious, jealous, competitive, destructive individuals that bear no fruit and have nothing to give. And you have to let them go. And you do. You do. And don't worry about them, because they could gain the whole world, y'all. And they are losing their soul. When you leave this place, you take nothing with you but your spirit man and your soul. And you want them intact when you face the Creator. And for you to wake up and start to build armor with that blacksmith, to know who you're dealing with now, because you've seen them in the physical form. This is the spiritual in the physical form, spiritual warfare in the physical form. Other people, they don't know how to deal with this. Doesn't matter how far along they are. You might have walked in folly, but when you wake up, you far surpass them spiritually in your understanding of this. That way, when you go to that blacksmith, you pick out the finest armor, the best looking titanium. You get that nickel plated stuff, you know? Might as well shine it up too. And you don't want no dagger. You want a nice looking sword that you can sharpen up. Make sure it's double-edged, because spiritually you know what's going on. You get your breastplate and your helmet and your belt. And you get your feet shod. You get your shield. You put your boots on, tighten them up, strap them up good, y'all, because you're going to dig in, because it's a battle. It's a battle. And you know this. And as you heal up, God's going to put some of you on the front lines. And you're going to be some of his most fervent warriors, because he's got to put his best up front. Because the last shall be first. And the last ones shall be first. Because you're like it's that old wine. It's the old wine, y'all. It's the old wine that was the best wine. What did Christ do? He turned water into wine. And what did they say? Most all the time, they bring the best wine out first. Because later on, when they're drinking the cheap wine, they won't even taste it. But this man here, he was a very wise man, because he saved the best wine for last.